Okay. So we're going to take a manual trading approach today. And once again, the non-directional goober bots are people that have patience to wait for the end of the week, have made money. And I guess I could brag about my market call that Dow yen, the yen is just going to go to hell. So you can make all sorts of arguments. Oh, yeah, because Trump was over in Korea. Dude, this has nothing to do with anything. And I'm driving in the car, and I'm hearing the guy on the radio say, well, stock market was up 200 points today. Dude, stock market's a bubble. And I'm loving this guy from Michael Norman. So, since I subscribe to Michael Norman, the SEAL Team 6 guy, I think, God, listen to these people. Because it's like this war. See, I told you. See, I told you. Okay, great. Dude, we're talking 8.5 weeks from your target. In the meantime, what are you going to do? You're not going to live that long. This is the argument for scalping. And fear of missing out is there for a reason, just like fear of getting eaten by your neighbor, right? Your neighbor's lawn's coming on your lawn. You know what to tell him. He's 6'8". He's pissed off. Yeah. Well, it's not a perfect world, so I had a signal. If you signed up for my signal service, it's so preposterous that anybody would even have a signal service, and the people that say, "Oh, that's just not possible." Yeah, because it's not inside your belief system. So the problem with, and I'll say it again, it's like the Tonewood guys. So, in guitar land, if you play guitar, people claim, well, that when you play a guitar without the pickups turned on, that's the sound of the guitar. And if you put pickups on it, depending on how microphonic they are. Okay, so I'm watching these Tonewood guys, and I'm like, really? You could say you're both right. So the non-directional traders can make money from not even having to be right. And the directional traders, with the right stop placements so they don't blow up their whole life or their whole account, they can do that trade. So there's something in for everybody. And the flexibility, I think, is the issue too. You get attached to a routine, maybe you're a routine guy, and you find comfort in the routine because you can count on it. Now you can take a sigh and you can say, oh, whew. Like every time I get into a trade and I'm like, wow, let it go. Okay. There's a let it go time, and there's a stock it time. And once you're in that trade, well, then the next natural thought is, God, if it's that easy to pick up a girl, I'm going to go pick up another girl. I think that's how guys end up with like 8 girls. Gosh, she was so easy. I just had to say something ridiculous, and she's like, oh, yeah. Now, depending on the IQ of the girl, I guess Stormy Daniels was, she offered somebody to molest her. I love Stormy Daniels because it reminds me of like the forex market. Kind of volatile. But see, that's and put a Fibonacci retracement on the news cycle of her. How about her cycle on when Stormy Daniels' story pops up? I think we're due for a Stormy Daniels story. I don't know if anybody's into that, the news that's on the radio. But there's also the news, if you're really a hardcore trader, you're just looking at these things going, really? Like, this is so stupid. You mean a doji is like the ultimate? Yeah. And I really wish that Steve Neeson would have in one of those fucking books said, you know what you do here, dude? When you see this, you put a hedge on. What if I'm not right? No, you just put a hedge. You see a doji? You could do a directional doji. And, these formations are nothing more than the creation of volatility. Volatility is the core of this whole market. Can't anybody see that? And size. So if you're going to ride some, so I'm at Starbucks, and this girl, she says, oh, she's like maybe 25 years old. She says, third time's a charm. So she was trying to do a pour over, and the filters kept breaking. And I said, those Chinese filters. It was pretty funny. And she was a big girl. God. I mean, if you pissed this chick off, it was like a farm girl. And on the way home, so I went on an excursion on the way home. I could smell horse manure. And I thought, God, we're really out in the country. They still have horses? I thought they just had, like, people trying to get rid of Windows 10 on a computer in the city. Like, I didn't know there was a whole world out there. Shit, I'm just trying to get a robot to run in the city. You take I wonder if the horses would be spooked if you walked onto into the barn at like the high frequency of the Wi-Fi. Get in their head, freak them out, they kill you. How come we don't see more creative movies? How come all the movies? I think this is a movie called Skyscraper, but it reminds me of Towering Inferno. I guess you could make the argument that we're coming back into that phase of the world. But yeah, I think gold's doomed. I think Bitcoin's doomed. I don't know about oil. I think it still has a void it's going into. But boy, this yen. So far this year you've had, for the doji junkies, you know, for people that want to get low risk entries, you've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 tight dojis this year. You've had 7 places you could have got on the train. This one, actually, you'd still be long if you didn't get stopped out of this right here. So let's just go back through and you have to be able to look back to find out when it's time for you to trade your trade plan. Your strategy and the doji strategy is only available in a doji. Now that sounds so stupid. And a structured trade is going to be a different kind of trade, because then you're really taking on more risk in a structured trade in a way, because you, according to the rules of structure in vacuums, which the doji is what creates the vacuum. Like I said, the pyramid is volatility. So people that say, well, volatility and blah, 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 no, you have to have some type of logical approach to these markets. You can't just be like, well, I've got a 8-period moving average and it only takes signals. No. I mean, this is like if you had your fucking cruise control just drive through the city at fucking 80 miles an hour. Well, you got cruise control on. Dude, you're in the city. When you come into Asia, you're in the city. You can't drive fast. So the news comes out. Turns out there's a flood in your city, the volcano, and people head for the hills. The market makes a run. They call, the market took a run. Yeah, so it's just Mother Nature. And you have to believe that if you even fucking believe that Fibonacci works. Because they look at the Nautilus shell. This is the argument for fucking Fibonacci. Then we got to plop that on your screen to the structure of the time frame that you chose. You mean to tell me if I gave 8 guys, if I gave somebody a crash course in Fibonacci, 8 people are going to have different fib handles and different time frames, and not to mention different sizing and different stops? How in the fuck, this is without even a moving average, how in the fuck can you possibly go on and sell a course like, okay, so in power trading, you pay $5,000 for this shit. Some guy in Europe paid $3,000 for this thing, and I said, what are they doing? Oh, candlestick. Okay, I get the candlestick patterns, dude, but the last thing you want to do is throw a moving average on that. It's like saying, oh, I like filet mignon or mignon. I like really good steak cow. How about that stuff they feed the cows? They feed the beer to, the Kobe beef cows. I mean, they're just like veal. and ice cream. Would you put those two in the same fucking meal? No, so I think trading's very strict, very, especially the candles, they're zen. You can't get more zen than a doji. What's going on today? Nothing. What's going to go on in the next hour? Probably count, like, so this is it. You can only trade the future. So what's going on is nothing. What will happen tomorrow? Well, to say you don't know would be really macho, right? You should know. And this is why, as if you get a girl not to, or a female not to be spooked by the word money, yeah, they trade this shit all day long and make money. They go, well, I just took that doji entry, and meanwhile you're Mr. Manly. Oh, but I've got, you should see my fucking 8-core computer. I have an 8-period crosses the 9-period moving average. If you are going to do moving average crossover system, I do suggest you let the 1 cross the 2. Just go long. It's going up. Run a snug stop. Don't follow anybody's signal service. Don't follow anybody's Gartley pattern. Don't follow what I'm saying. You have to ask yourself, like I said, if I just walked into some place and said, can you see the really small black or white? And this is where you could also change these candles to all black. Because these have biases here, and this is an engulf down here, which is an inverted hammer on the 2-week chart. So as soon as you look at the candles, you have to say, see this down here? This is the, if you had a 2-week chart that happened to end, and this is another problem, if it ended here, it would be an inverted hammer to blow your brains out, right? Look at the tail on that. But that would only exist if that broker closed out the month or the year, right? Because you're not, if you say a 2-week chart, do you mean this 2-week chart or this 2-week chart? So the offset. And I think that's why there is offset moving average. I think that's why the cloud's there. It's the force of trade. If you don't trade, you won't make money. So if you have insane ratios and it rarely trades, it will make money. Because I've done it. Now, the robot here ended up with a balance of, I just let it go. And I rewrote the scripts, so it really wasn't a fair test. But it was actually up $280. So it's been up and down an equal amount. And I'm not going to go and, like I said, if you were to sell this shit, yeah, then I'm going to go through it and go, here, this is what this does here. This is what it's designed for. These are the specs. Like if you were going to sell an oven that you make food in. So my friend, she gets this thing she saw on TV. It's the fryer cooker. It's like a convection thing made by, I want to say Philips. Some, God who knows makes it, right? Brands don't mean anything anymore. I mean, that's not a company with those people working there. It's like everything's sold out. Everything's corporate. The only survival, right? So when you see a new strip mall, it's because people could survive that. Okay, it's 7:05 in the morning. I'm going to go 5-minute chart. So here's another doji entry. Now, this is not going to make you as much money because you can see the spread now. Okay. That's all trading is. Now look at this hammer. How would you play that hammer? Well, you could have played that hammer 2 ways. If you are running trolling limits that have good ratios, you want to buy this vacuum here. Now, if from the 5 to the 15, you can see the trailing vacuum. This is the stop hunt for the bulls, obviously. Or it's also a structure entry, but these are pendings. It's nothing like doji trading. Like doji trading, you have to show up every 15 minutes to go, is there a trade? Oh, yeah. So you would have taken this trade religiously, non-directionally. Like I said, 15-minute chart. Now you could be considered over trading. these are your trades. You really want a gravestone doji. You want a hyper doji. Right? You really have to think about renaming these two. Gravestone, Dragonfly. I looked at that book and I'm like, this is as dumb as ICT and his fucking order block shit. You have to find your nomenclature to use on this thing. You have to just say, okay, but maybe you're not that guy. Maybe you want a car and you're like, dude, show me how to drive it. And in the manual it says, get in the car, look out the windshield. I mean, can you imagine the owner's manual? If your fucking car said shit like that, you'd be like, really? So I was watching these guys rag on Apple computers, and I'm like, yeah, Apple computers is a piece of shit now. They've lost their vision of... They're lost in platform switching. They're like trade hopping. I'd say Apple's blowing themselves up because they're system hopping. Oh, well, we have this, now we got this, now we got this port. No, you know what I said when they came out with USB? I said, you fucked that up. Well, in a way. Right, in other words, what they should have done is come out with, just my opinion, remember the quarter inch where you plug your guitar in, then the headphone jack. What you do is you take that config, and then they came out with the mini jack. And this is where the sizing comes in. You can come down to the quarter inch and then the mini. Now, what if they would have just, since you already had stereo headphones, so you had tip ring sleeve. And I know that sounds naughty, but that's what it's called, TSR. And then when Sony came out with their, it was a RCA, and in the core was a tip ring sleeve. And now you had 5 conductors and you had a really serious, connection. What if they would have just taken that to the point where you plug in and you're in a voltage value. So you're in a size value of voltage. The smaller it gets, the smaller the voltage. And you even come out with a fucking bigger than a quarter inch. Some plug shit. Some... How about half inch? A half inch jack. And you're like, okay, now that's going to be at least 24 volts. And when we get to the big fucking European 220 banana jack, then we're like, okay. I wonder if the banana jacks in Europe have to be straight. Well, they are. See, that's maybe what they're thinking. So, imagine that format, because then, how could you fuck that up? And it's so durable. When I saw USB, I go, really? If I put my elbow on that, I've got to get out of tweezers and bend it back? What a piece of shit. So, as life goes on, hardware gets shittier and shittier. There's antique tables that you can still, there's antique chairs you can still sit on. Now, if you do slapdash construction, but why would it be any different in this world of approaching anything? So, the current trend, but this trends mean nothing to people that are trying to make money. I mean, I get it. Okay, you could have been in the dollar-yen since this downtrend. So, and how would you define a trend too? I mean, how does that work? Is this, like I said before in many videos, is this your downtrend? Well, we're in a downtrend. I traded that. And what I did is I got in on the dojis. Boom. And then this is my reversal. Or I'm trapped into another bad trade. But I made money on this one. This one. As long as we don't violate the stop hunt. So this is your trailing risk profile, is the vacuum created by higher lows. So here's the compression. Right at this point here, a non-directional bot based on a 15-minute has sell stops and buy stops, and maybe it even has buys. It actually has more tickets here now. Like I said, each bar has a trade plan. Here, you are in a hedge. You have 15 minutes to the 15-minute chart updating, and we're on the 15. So you're probably going to, if you're bullish, if you're systematic, religious, you're in discipline, you would pull the trigger here a quarter after the hour, no questions asked. Or you pull it now, going, oh, shit. And I'm sure you've had those oh, shit moments, like you're like, oh, it's not going the way I thought. So you have a point at that time which to turn around. Like, so, I don't know if you've ever been on a date, and you start falling in love with a person, you think, oh, no, don't. Because you know it's not going to go your way. So I would say this is very, supposed to Fibonacci. Here's a beautiful top bottom here. I just saw. So structural speaking is different than, structure thinking is different than volatility thinking, let's just say. For me, because so are you buying people's stops? Can you be a successful goober? Both of those are true. Like I said, if you get the frequency of trading right to match the size. Obviously. I get that people want to go on the internet and speculate and do all sorts of things, but it's just mental masturbation in the end there. There's nothing that's really going to... And you're not... I don't hear anybody say, well, this is such a good setup, I think I'm going to bet the ranch. Look at what zooming out one click does to your... Oh, what it does to me. This view, and then you go like this, you go, holy shit. So I find that the most disturbing thing about charting volatility, I would say. And I don't want to say trend line. I want to say I'm charting volatility because I'm charting the diminishment and expansion of volatility. So here you have your perfect, it's simmering down. Volatility is creating a triangle. You have a perfect classic. This happens to be support because this is when the doji bots got in the hedge funds, and I think maybe they call them hedge funds for a reason. They're hedging their bet, and they don't really care where it goes. I mean, you go to a true hedge fund, they're in stocks, they're in a diversification fund. So what you do here is, it's a lot of work, and it's the hardest work in the world because you are not building a car to sell. You are in. You're building. You're using money, real time. This is why people have this big issue with real versus demo, because it's as if they want you. They want to see somebody get on the racetrack with a car that's never been tested, and drive it. Oh, really? Go drive that car. Nobody would do that. In fact, they put it on the dyno. They take the motor. Let's see what how many horsepower we have. Then they do the metrics, okay? And this is another sizing issue. Why is size so... Size and volatility, I'd say if anything I've ever come down to, the most critical, fundamental, logical approach to trading has to be size and volatility. Because if it's volatile and you're in a small size, you don't even really know you're in the trade. And diversification. So what I would say is you've got diversification and you've got the size. So you have D, you have the size, and what's missing? I would say the first thing I'd go for is size. Size. So how big are you in? And then volatility. So I'd say size, volatility, and now the trade plan. So I think the trade plan would be, these are the two factors. No, I said volatility. So if you go volatility first, how much is this thing moving? Okay. And how can I stay in this trade without getting kicked out? And how much would it cost me? Could I have bought every retest of this explosion. Could I have run trailing buy stops? Now, every time you put on all these plans, you have to have a dollar amount. How many trades can you do here? Maybe 18 trades. Maybe you bought this, but you had to take something off the table, because if you think it's going to go like this, you could be right, because you could say, oh, it does it. See, it does it. Oh, look, it does it. Okay, but if you get the size wrong on this, it's going to be a problem. If you put your stop too tight, and you say, well, I did the risk math. So you have this big triangle. Size, risk, and I'll say frequency of trading. Or you could put a diversification of price entry and exit. So, yeah, that would be the tripod. You'd have volatility, size, and risk. Because as you come into this triangle, and this is Asia here. It's getting quiet. A lot of people, cashed out here. This is why I came back. Well, why did sellers come in here? Because this is your classic come to the threshold, dips into the vacuum, no more buyers, and people are cashing out, because we all know this second high will be resistance, right? And here you'd say, well, you're wrong. Okay, this is why you need more than one trade plan. You have to be 3 people. You've got to be a risk manager. You've got to be a dreamer. You're like, oh man, wait till they fill this thing, and wait till they keep crushing up, and look at the weeklies, right? You're a dreamer. They stop. What happened to that dreamer phrase they were using for these immigrants? I'm a dreamer. And nightmarist. So the dreamer says, look at this weekly. Holy shit. Look at this. Wow, buying new lows here, and then buying new lows here. The edge here, no fill really. Well, I said this one's actually you just barely filled. But if you had sell limits here that never got filled, you're like, oh shit. But they filled here, didn't they? And then we start to cascade. And here we are, screaming into this vacuum. Who's not selling here? And look at the doji people. They're like, dude, I'm long. I just got more. And they're long non-directionally making money. That's incredible. You had a wide stop on that doji. Look at this one paid. This one paid the rent. Double doji. Yikes. And you have to be ready for these smashes, and it's just a very organic thing. Brexit's being brought up again. I heard that on the fucking news, cracking me up with that Brexit shit. That's why the pound's going down. And look, stock market. Let me see if I can get the stock market up here. And today's jobs report's coming out. Are you going to trade it? Well, yeah. Dude, you're already long. And when the news comes out, it's going to get volatile, right? It's going to slam back. It's going to slam up. So I've traded the news. It goes up and it goes down. And the spread gets terribly wide. And if you have to leave the house or you have to go to work, you just tape the news session. Get a recorder and tape the news sessions and watch them. It's a lot different than looking at the chart. Right? If this is the London Open here, if you could see this, what happens to the spread here and the franticness of a tick chart right here, you'd be like, wow. And look at this. Kick back and stop hunt just a little bit into the dojis, retested the volatility. And that's a pivot price. So the idea of pivots, yeah, pivots exist. It's the doji. Same thing. Everybody's using all these complicated words. It really just comes down to this triangle. Or pyramid, if you want to see it like that. But the risk, if I were to put really greedy trades in here, I'm sorry, risk to reward. So without the reward, the risk is ridiculous, right? It's a risk to reward ratio. It has to be a ratio because you can't just say risk. I'm risking $100 a week. Yeah, but you're doing the dumbest fucking trades in the world. You don't even have a trading system. You don't even have a trading approach. The guy, this Norm, he's a fundamentalist, Michael Norman. He's the most extreme fundamentalist I've ever seen. He's got this money market thing, blah, 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 blah. And he's really, talking about, he says tariffs are good for the economy. Okay, they're good for certain sectors of the economy, just like when they regulated when they made it so that, let's see, it's legal to make drugs and the FDA is going to approve them. If you're a drug maker, you're loving it, right? Look at that non-directional winning trade right there. See, that's how it's going up. Oh, look, the bears are making money. Bears are making money. It's an hour and 30 minutes till news. And the, like I said, the 1 minute chart, if you're up for that. I did that in a video. Real-time trading. Real-time 1 minute chart there. That was your entry. You missed it. But the spread is too wide here. The spread would have to be 0. Right? And the commissions have to be very low for you to make money. Right? So you can look at all these and say, oh, look at these dojis. Okay, but that's the only one that made money. This one, you got chopped. This one made money. Gravestones. This one you're making money on. I wonder if there'll be any reaction here. And would you put buy limits here? Yes. So buy limits go here. Now, how long do they last? I wouldn't go past 2 hours. You have to judge, like I said, if you're going to go, if news is coming out in an hour and your pending's going to last a half hour, what you're saying is that I think before the news comes out, we could dip into this vacuum here. I'm basing that on this, right? So, people, the one guy keeps asking me, where's the what is the vacuum? It's this hole, this void, this vapor trail of stop hunt, or potentially we're going to go into this hole, and it is going to stop out the guy on the 5. So the 1 to the 5 is 5x. That's very extreme zooming. You can't just jump around these time frames and start to say, I want to trade 1 minute chart. Okay. You're going to have to realize that you can't jump in the trade every minute. On a 1 minute chart, and how many minutes are you looking at? I guess this is like 20, was this like 30 minutes? It's 30 candles. You're waiting for that doji to hit the trigger, plus you're waiting for the structure on the 1 minute chart. We fell in this vacuum. People have gobbled this up. People have bought, and the ask is what you have to pay. So you didn't get filled. If you put a buy limit here on bid, the market has to come for you to get filled. That's the spread. That's the other thing that Trade and Power, they don't talk about that stuff. If Gartley's really worked, you should be able to see, oh, there's a Gartley here on the 1 minute. And you're like, well, that Gartley took so much time drawing it. And then you're like, what's the point of that? Can I just wait a half an hour to put my trade on? You sure can, Buster. How about the 1 hour chartist? Oh, another day trading. I'm so bored. Of course you are. You got this entry in Asia. I'm just speaking the doji system right now. Pressure building up, not a higher high. There's a vacuum. Vacuum's here to the top of this. It's also lack of volatility giving you a wedge, a triangle. You could see it on the 15. Here's your non-directional, slightly make money, about to get stopped out. each put in another trade here, and I'd say that's about it. Maybe you're in here. And not to mention, if you take into consideration, and this is if you're building a robot, like I said, there's got to be a guy out there that could design this. This is very simple. When the open to close is under 8.5 pips, put on a trade. Or go for the scripts that you have written. So this script bot that I posted is the only hope for an EA, in my opinion, because you could edit the crux of the matter there. So you have to have a 6-pip bot, a 5-pip bot, a 4-pip bot, and yes, it will make money. Just like a room of fucking robots. Our 3D printers, one printer is going to spit up, overfill, overheat out of those printers. And it depends on how your quality is, right? If you're a high quality guy, you're like, you know what? I've got a robot that's checking the robots. And it looks to me like the seam cutter in there is getting dull. And at the end of the day, the robot that checks the robot's products says, we scan that, and that's an acceptable means. We will release that. If you did that, and you showed the public, dude, we're throwing out half the shit, it's not good enough to send. That's why our shit costs twice as much. Okay. The business models that need to be implemented in your trading and in business, like I said, a lot of these businesses, they don't even know who their audience or customer is. Look at Gibson guitars. I mean, but that's inevitable. I could say the same thing about Fisher stereos out of Germany. When I was a kid, I owned a Fisher, and I'm like, open the thing up. Holy shit, German shit in here. Little baby German tubes. Fucking German dual turntables sound great. I think we had a Pickering cartridge. And I understand why people want to hear vinyl, because they want to hear something that's not pixelated. I think there's a big starvation in a digital world for... That's why people go out in the woods and shit. Digital world is so wallpapered. I remember when wallpaper was in. I don't think wallpaper's in anymore. Tile is the new wallpaper. Went to the tile store one day. They got some blinged out like Vegas tile with mirrors in it. I'm like, dude, you think I want to see myself? My whole life, just walking around nude, I was like, God, really? Do I have to take my clothes off to take a shower? Can't I just... Like, oof, we have a mirror in the bathroom. I'm like, oh my God, who the fuck is that? I mean, I think mirrors should be outlawed, honestly. Shiny surfaces. I don't want to see myself. I'm like, holy shit, you dumb fuck. Look at you. Like, it's obvious that I haven't gone to the gym. But it was never, I mean, I wanted to be that guy. I wanted to be Mr. Olympus, but Mr. Atlas hold up the world. Yeah, so getting back to the drudgery of trading, I suppose. Here we go. It's an hour till news. And did the 1 minute traders gobble up the vacuum on that? I think they did. And let's go to the 5 minute chart. I've got the patience for that. So, like I said in the other video, I'm trying to build a trading course, I suppose. I'm writing a book. No, I really do want to get a concise approach. I don't think life's that complicated. Each day, the clock's ticking. People get up in the morning. They go. You can go in any place. Go to IHOP. Go to... I guess IHOP's going to rename their place. Why are people being such... like I said, this is system hopping. Corporations are afraid. You know, there's momentum in this economy that's just staggering amounts of money. There's so much wealth. And people pull the plug, and I'm watching this war between, well, it's on the news, Ford versus Elon Musk. And once Steve Jobs died, once the guy who's driving the car, he may have bought a Porsche, but then you got these idiots at the wheel. The 5-minute doji bot, I'll just put on a hedge here. Look out, right? And the only thing we're counting on keeping the world from blowing up is most people are people. You walk up to anybody on the street, whether they're out of their fucking mind or they're a genius, and if you have any communication skills, you should be able to, say, hey, nice weather. So I would say that's and talk about volatility and vortexes and weather. And I really should do the weather charts as far as the weather. Just any kind of data. Just take any data and look at it. So about 20 years ago, my dad wanted me to trade stocks, and I was a technical analyst of, I consider myself very chartist, and really I know RSI really well. And so I popped up these REITs. They're called real estate investment trusts. And it worked beautifully because RSI is on closing prices, and these REITs would barely trade. There was no range to the day. It's just a dash on your screen. So the beauty of RSI is it works on anything. Literally, it works on shit that has no volume. That's pretty hard to... I guess trend lines, same thing. But trend lines on closing prices. Or trend lines now, I guess it works for volatility too. These REITs never really took off and made a run from the apex of the triangle. But I was looking at it and saying, oh yeah. And I tried to be objective. And then my dad would say, fundamentally speaking, well, that's where the money's at. There's no money in the bank. You can't put your money in the bank. So the real estate investment trust is kind of like a bond. It's like a derivative of real estate, really. Everything's derivatives. So people say, oh, derivative this, derivative. It's all derivatives. Or I want gold in my hands. Dude, the spread will fucking blow your balls off. So you have you've got, unless you have intrinsic value, so you have an antique gold coin. Now you've hedged your bet. Even if gold goes down, there's only so many of these coins. So you have numismatic value of a gold coin. So I hope I'm not jumping around too much topic-wise, but I'm just pointing out, to me, all the little nooks and crannies of life that... Why do you even own that coin? Is that happiness in there? Like I said, the clock's ticking. And when I was a kid, when I was 10 years old, I thought, clock's ticking. And I thought, but it's not ticking fast enough. I just want to grow up and get the fuck out of here. So I was watching this guy talk about the first time he played piano, Steve Vai. First time he played piano, he's like, listen to this thing. And that's my feeling. The first time I played piano, I was about 6 years old, and I couldn't reach the keys. I could reach the keys, just reach up, and it was up. It was a spinet piano. It's, in other words, the smallest upright piano in the world, and I could hear the notes, and I thought, yeah, infinity. This could be any note. One note sounded like a whole song to me. I'm like, yeah. And that's the same thing with the market. When I look at the market, I'm like, yeah, look at this fucking doji. Oh my God, this is before the notes hit. It's the preamble, and then you have, here we go. In fact, it looks like a trade plan. It looks like people saying, oh, I don't know. And even the books on candlesticks say, what is a doji? Indecision. So, I should probably look that up. Another thing is, going back to basics all the time, with this kind of charting, you're literally in the basics world all day long. So here's the doji. And so here's the qualifiers, of course, if you wanted to be very literal scientific about it. So you've got the long-legged doji and the short. Now, the long-legged doji is higher risk if you're going to run your stops on either side of that. And in technical analysis, so here's again that phrase, technical analysis, characterized by being small in length, meaning small trading range. And they're also saying, but I think that the long-legged doji kind of defeats what they're saying. Because when they say range, that is the wick with an opening and closing that are virtually equal. Okay, small trading range. But it could be a like I said, there's so much room on that wick, on that long leg. How long are your legs? But they don't say what it really. They say it's a pattern. They don't say what it's doing here. What is a bullish doji? Dragonfly. At the top, mean. And this is where I have a big problem with candlesticks. You want to put meaning into that? It's already been meant. And this is also, you'd have to figure, it's too much. Let's go, and everybody's pedia, Investorpedia. Looks like a cross. Inverted cross, plus sign. Alone and doji are neutral patterns that are also featured in a number of important patterns. A doji candlestick forms when securities open and close virtually equal for the given time period. Signal and personal. Yes, we know what it looks like. What does it mean? There's two main forms of technical analysis: fundamental, technical. Fundamental analysis concentrate on measures that have to do with business performance, such as sales. And that's what's coming out pretty soon. Here's the news, right? Net income. What's the jobs report? I mean, this is hysterical. And the idea that people come to the fucking market with that shit in their head, like the SEAL Team 6 goober. You could be making so much money from having a trade plan as opposed to saying, oh, fundamentally it should go like this. I'll just sit in there and fucking rot in that trade, and I'll be a SEAL Team 6 fucknut idiot. That's why I train hard, so I can... Okay, I get that. But that mental part needs to be applied to the drudgery of coming up with a trade plan. And I'm talking about trading. He's investing. Investors don't care. They ride it to the fucking... Dude, they'll ride it to the... till it blows up. The true believer. So, technical analysis, on the other hand, concentrate on patterns in the stock price. If the stock price is going up, it might be a sign that prices will continue to go higher and vice versa. Now, that's the trend idea. It's going up. It's also the let's chase it and make money. And you can. It was going up. I bought it and it kept going up. And look how much money I made. And that might just be sheer luck that you didn't blow up the account. Or get stopped out. Or get risked out. You also may want to think about changing your whole vocabulary in this thing. Oh, I got risked out of that trade. Another thing is, and this is when you have the inner circle idea where, oh, we have our own vocabulary that's just for us. But everybody's looking at the same thing, and they just call it something else. One man's rapes another man's love-making session, right? He's like, well, I was an officer. You don't understand, I love women. Why do you think I'm hitting them so hard? Well, yeah, I mean... They always say that that's an anger thing, rape. And I think, yeah, I guess if you're hitting somebody with your dick, I'll pound you. But instead of with my fists. Okay. But, so, technical analysis. Now this is beautiful, because this is the Google Goober, view of trading. You know, I'd say to somebody, hey, do you ever think of, like, I just walk into Starbucks, anybody in here a doji trader? They're like, what the fuck? Dude, we don't care what you do in Starbucks. We do not talk about trading. And so they have a thing in Starbucks now, the do's and don'ts. I should pencil in there, whatever you do, don't talk about forex. Because they say you're not allowed to sleep in there. They say you can't sleep in Starbucks. Well, only because your coffee's like, ooh, gave me decaf. Can I get a mulligan? I fell asleep. So, technical analysts believe that all known information about the stock, and they believe this, and I do believe this, is reflected in the price, only because I believe that it's an auction, that it's sitting there waiting to be, like they'll say, oh, the bears are defending this price zone. Well, let's just say the price is moving into the bears' stop hunt zone. It is funny to think about this in terms of like a tactical, and I do think it's very tactical, and this is when you see war rooms and people claiming the art of war. You know, and you're going to take that to the trading room. But unless you're a warrior, you're just walking through, you're stepping through the motions, and you really have to be pretty hardcore person, I think, to trade. To most of your friends and family would tell you, what are you, fucking nuts? If it was that easy, I would do it, and you're an idiot for trading. So I had to keep all my trading pretty private. I spent so much money, and it was justified for me from my ethnic background that it's okay to read a book. And so, you know, all the books I bought, nobody said, well, what are you doing, reading a book? What, you fucking idiot? No, I'm reading a book. So before I trade or while trading, so I get educated. And making it okay to pull the trigger. Now, as soon as I step out of the plate and pull the trigger, I mean trading at the market, because I didn't know you could play spending. I didn't mean I heard you could, but I'm like, fuck that shit. I know where the market's going. Get the fuck out of my way. So being young and dumb, I suppose, or if it's just being very ambitious, I would say, I'm not going to do that. You know, just let me get in the market right here. Oh, I got it. I see what's going on. I'm not stupid. That's my constant thought all day. I'm not a retard. Leave me alone. And then I'm like asking people, how do you do this? And they're like, you're the guy that said, leave me alone, so we're leaving you alone. So it's a two-way street. But I do believe that when I say technical analysis, I mean data. Now, the other way to look at this is from a robotic standpoint. I could say I'm a data analyst. A technical analyst triggers a lot of weird stuff. Technical means certainty, in my opinion. A technician, I'm fixing your car. I'm not trying to make it worse. If you say you're a data analyst, then you have an objective view of the situation. You don't want a data analyst fixing your car. You want a technical analyst to fix your car. Can you fix this market for me? It's all fucked up. I think there's so much power in the word that you label something with that it's just incredible. I mean, to me, it's like, and doji's kind of cool. I don't know what the Japanese, I like this, it says here, bearish belt hold, and I thought that's like a martial, these are like martial arts terms too. Or you're holding on your belt, you know, your thumbs in your belt. Son, let me tell you something. You got a lot to learn about dojis. But yeah, so it's really exciting to think about words. And how the power of them, you know, technical analyst, data analyst. So if you're a data analyst, you have a very neutral, robotic approach to the market. You're a system trader. You're a technical analyst. You're a system trader, but kind of dipping into the certainty. You're going down the Holy Grail road in a way. So technical analysts believe that all known information about the stock is reflected in its price. Yeah, which is to say, price is efficient. So here's the price efficiency thing, which is as to say, which is kind of a, you have to do a bigger lead into, which is to say, is efficient, because now you're trying to define efficient as being technical analysis. Or no, the market's efficient, so it's finding the price it needs to find, and this would be the auction thing, which to say it's an auction. So, which to say it's efficient, to me, efficient means auction. I mean, I'd have to completely convert. Every word's another language, a whole nother rabbit hole. Efficient, look up efficient. Does anybody own it? I know if you don't read books, maybe you haven't seen a thesaurus, but this is the stem cell. This is the branching point of concepts. Go to the thesaurus, put in efficient. Go to here, then you go down this rabbit hole or this branch system. Past performance has nothing to do with future price. So still, now this is another thing, which is this classic kind of disclaimer about technical analysis. And this guy's, whoever wrote this, has a lot going on here. So they were efficient. Now you think random market theory. Now you think auction theory. You think theoretically. Still, past price performance has nothing to do with future price. Which is to say, as good as you may think that you can analyze this data and technically analyze data, that you're going to be able to make predictions. But you'd have to make a prediction if you have a fucking target. Could you have dual targets? Could you have a bullish and bearish target? Yes, but you'd have to be a doji entry guy, because this is your entry window for the most amount of expansion of volatility you'll ever make. And so this, I'll say the triangle is technical analysis. The doji is a triangle or a flag or a pennant or a, fill in the blank. Goes on and on. If nothing else, and there's like, oh, that's an ABC correction. Okay, a correction, wave 4, wave 2. Those are all dojis. Those are the apex of wave 4 is a triangle. Everybody's talking about the same thing. So all the stuff you see on YouTube, you'll rarely see a guy go, okay, this is what you do. You got this. Start building a position inside this wave 4. And scalp a little bit inside of a triangle, because you're in range mode. You got to have a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You have to have a 3 system approach: market, stop, limit. The market orders are every time it's down big or up big, time to get into the market if you haven't got filled on a limit. So this also predicated on the sizing issue comes back again. What have you planned for pendings, and what have you planned for markets, and what have you planned for stops? Dare I say the word plan? Do you have a stop plan? In fact, I wouldn't even call it a trade plan. Do you have a market plan? Do you have a stop plan? Do you have a limit plan? And limit also, if you just said to somebody that doesn't know anything about these markets, it's really hard to unring the bell. If you've read as many books as I have, the word limit, what does that mean to you? Like, I guess that's free association with a shrink. Limit, and the guy says, bad fill. You say hot, I say cold, right? Limit, scared. I would say, like, well, if you know what a limit order is, but if you said just the word limit, people would say, oh, I don't want any limitations. I don't want any limitations. How dare you limit me? I'm a free person. And I do think for me, the word limit, especially when you switch topics, so you go into some other, niche of whatever, art, sex, manufacturing, being an attorney. The words that you see in these things that they use, if you plug them in, there's got to be a corollary, and there's things that do fit. The 618 thing is really preposterous. So it just keeps echoing in my mind that somebody would actually think. As soon as I nudge, another thing is that if you really think 618 works, then find the 618 and zoom in so that you are looking at pipettes. Right? It's a 5 decimal. Most brokers are 5 decimal. And then you see, oh, geez, well, I'm way off on that entry. Got a Fibonacci. And then people say, well, no, right around here, see? Yeah, right around here? How big are you trading and how tight is your stop? What's your size? What's your risk? And if you let the market decide, so what is the stats? I bet there's only, I bet the market has 20% dojis in it. Just like 80% of the time it's ranging. That means it has to be 20% of that chart. And maybe you could break out some spreadsheet and qualify a doji of a 5 pip dojis. How many 5 and under pip dojis are there? Well, on the weekly I could pick them out. And I would say that maybe it's 15%. There's not a lot of good trades out there from this volatility breakout system. Open closing breakout system. But try to come up with new words each time so that this thing, look at this 8.6 returns. So here the interest rates are going up. Look at this no risk. Grow your money the safe way that just popped up. Oh, the pop-ups. Oh, the pop-ups are just brutalizing my brain, dude. I'm just dying. Seriously. You're kidding me. So 8.6, not bad. Now that presupposes you got a pile of money, but what if you don't? What if you only got $1,000? Can you make like 20,000 trading? Oh yeah. Well, gee, how do you do that? Well, first, you got to be able to have $1,000 in your account and not pull the trigger for a week. And this is, I would say, easy for a beginner because they're like, oh, really? That's all I got to do? Well, gee, Daddy, when do we start trading? So let's say you had a kid. And you just say, oh, well, I got my kid. My kid's 8 years old. I wish I had an 8-year-old kid. A boy or girl, wouldn't matter. Maybe the girl a little tougher, right? She wants to put makeup on. Like, honey, you didn't go to the MT4 platform. And of course, you also don't want to make your kids resent trading. I'm just saying from a farmer standpoint. This is why you have kids, right? So they go out in the fields. But you don't want to lose your kid in the combine. You don't want your kid to be end up in the weed whacker wrapped around their neck. Maybe you do. Maybe your kids are brats. I was at the restaurante the other day, and this little kid was probably like 4 years old, and she had so much to say. She was just going off. I was like, man. I thought I was a chatterbox. Listen to, and she never. She kind of repeated phrases, but I thought, no, she's going through new content. She was really, and the melody of her voice and her whole way to try to maintain the attention of the person, the adult. But the adult was very adult about it and said, really? The adult wasn't doing that. So tell me, little Jamie, how was your day at school? Like you're just a complete tard. I always think that's funny. So I guess I've resented that my whole life. Can I help you? Like I was calling around trying to find this place. And people are picking up the phone. I go, do you know about this place? And they go, you've got the wrong number. I go, no, I know that. I know I have the wrong number. I'm not a retard. I'm saying this right in your neighborhood there. Have you heard of this place? So, you know, it's really tough. It's tough being, being dead's going to be a lot easier than this. So, yeah, I'm approaching the dirt nap. I'm hearing these people dropping like flies, I'm like, yeah, I could take a dirt nap. I'm tired. I've had it. The TriStar, too. And this is where I really think Steve Neeson cashed in on this candlestick bullshit. Because, like, dude, there's a dragonfly. And then there's dragonfly. Is it a female or a male dragonfly? And just the minutia of like 3 marching dragonflies. Well, dude, I'm in that trade like hog long. I'm getting more signals. I'm reading the tea leaves. I think tea leaves with a good risk plan. Just don't overtrade the account. Like, just the frequency of trading. Diversification of entry, price-wise, is the ultimate. High resolution, 1Ks, 0.01 lot, or not 0.01, as they say over there. Not. I'm like, not 0.01. The weather today is 0.01. I'm like, geez, should we go outside? I don't know. I got quad pane windows. I mean, this is another thing, is the technology is the point where you could be in some building. I talked to a guy who's building a 70-ton zapper to get rid of cancer, proton zapper. I said, how many of those are there in the world? He's like, about 14. And the room is like, it's just this giant room, and you're sitting there and they're zapping your cancer tumors on this thing. I almost think, was man meant to fly? Was man meant to take a 70-ton? It's like a collider. We're trying to split the atom. The colliding machine is really what it is. But you're in the middle of that thing, and it's focused right down to your bad cell. It's a sci-fi world. Very sci-fi, I know. I do think the robot is completely doable. Like I said, you need 20 robots to do this. And it may be better to farm it out. I don't think I want to buy 20 laptops and have them in a room cooking away. You could put them on clouds, I suppose. You cloud trade them. There must be a way to do that. But that's a whole nother thing. I'm not a robot. I'm going to spend time on that. I could be out getting my thumb smashed. Why am I here? Gee, this is harder than trading. And a whole thing I've built, the whole did. Yeah, here come at top they are. So the discipline in trading would be, yeah, put $1,000 in your account. Like, okay. Especially for the guy that trades. God, can you just park money in there and just, I just can't take it. Ren and Stimpy. Don't touch the button. Just look up Ren and Stimpy button. But can he? Will he? It's tough. And, it is fun to, and I guess if you're into fun, you're going to take a demo account and have fun with that. And just keep your money in the real account. Don't trade that. And maybe just put an occasional trade on. And now you're ahead of the game, because now at the end of the month, maybe you made $100, maybe you lost 200, but you still got $800. Like, okay. You have to be okay with having money, too. I watched a Steve Vai interview, and he said he's making $260 a week, so you'd only spend like, he'd always save 10%, so he'd live below his means. $200 a week, it's a budget, right around 1,000 a month. And he transcribed for Frank Zappa, and I don't know if Frank probably paid him. He didn't say anything about that, but just to publish this stuff. And the stuff that I wrote here, somebody asked me, and I guess the idea is that you publish it and you have the rights to it, but I don't want the rights to something that's going to blow up your account. Music, I don't think is going to. That could blow your speakers up. But I heard everybody suing the 1812 Overture recorded on full digital on Telec. Anybody remembers it? It's probably still there. The first time CDs came out, they just took a bunch of orchestras and they go, dude. It was 110 dB dynamic range, and people got this shit cranked up on their system. If you're trying to listen to orchestration music, it's brutal. Because I live in a world of compression. I mean, if it's not compressed, and I don't have any compression on this, but I guess there is some compression in MP4, but I can compress it. In the day, you know, there wasn't, I mean, like if you go to the symphony, it's real time. There's no compression. There's no, well, what kind of woofers do you have? No, you're there. In the whole room is a speaker. But I'm getting sidetracked, tangential. So, still past, I like that. It's just still past performance. It has nothing to do with future price. Performance and the actual price of a stock may have nothing to do with its real or intrinsic value. And this is where it goes all terribly wrong, because it may be the best stock in the world, but there's more sellers than buyers, or there's a price vacuum, or people are like, you know what? It's sector rotation. No offense, but we're selling tech and we're buying utilities. Just like this thing. 1.6% annual return. I wonder where that's at. And is that going to be a bond? Is that going to be parking your money back in the banks? Like I said, fundamentally speaking, and I had no problem with fundamentals unless if you want to just hang your nuts out on the clothesline for like 2 years in a trade, okay, go ahead. But if you're not going to live another 2 years, or like I said, if you're missing out is it's there for a reason. Sure, let's trade this news here coming in. Let's have news trades. Let's be able to trade the news. Don't trade the news. Well, okay, that's for you. You're fundamental. You're not going to trade. You're not going to scalp the news. And I think, can you scalp the news? Oh, yeah. Are the spreads your enemy? Sure. But you're making so many pips that's just the cost of doing business in those environments, in those atmospheres, in that situation. So, going on here. Take a look at, I'm going to read down through this article here. So, the intrinsic value, it may have nothing. And these words like may, might, this is wiggle room territory. Really triggers the certainty, Holy Grail people. You got to believe that there's a personality like this guy, Dimrim, that kept hounding me. It had nothing to say of any, value, comically, intellectually, nothing. Just nothing. These are the kind of considerations. And the guy's filling tickets. He works at some firm and he's executing trades for rich people or something, so he thinks he's got a clue. Well, every trade he executes for these big boys, winners, if they're really big boys, they're trading big on every ticket, and they're down pretty heavy on that trade for at least the first 2 weeks. If they're really, really fundamental traders, they're just, because a technical trader would say, well, no, my stop is sitting at a structure level, and the technical or a data analyst would say, how many days back do we run our stops? And these are things you would just check. I can imagine a room of 20 guys managing a fund. And in the morning, you have a meeting, which I can't wait to be in one of these meetings. And let's see, we got 20 guys executing trades. Who's doing what? Who's in charge of dojis? Who's in charge of risk? Who's in charge of size? Who's going to monitor this guy's thing? Are we going to trade? Are we going to swap ideas? Are we going to be open-minded? Are we going to be stubborn? And so this is the Van Tharp view, is that you have a board meeting of those people. Since most trading's done solo, you have 5 people in the morning you talk to. You have your risk manager, the part of you that's risk. This is where it's okay to have multiple personality, because you're going to need that. You have to be that guy sometimes. Like I said, I was joking with the guys in the band, and I said, if you're stranded on a desert island and there was just dudes, would you turn gay? I mean, they kind of flipped out on me a little bit. They're like, whoa. I said, but no, think about it. Like, the argument, it's all skin. We got to keep warm. What if it gets cold? And so what is your threshold? And if you said, well, I'll die. I'd rather die than snuggle with some dude. Okay. So, okay. Then you could be like that in trading too. Yeah, I'm just going to trade this system. It'll blow up the account. And of course, your belief system is so key to that, because now you're going to really be like, oh no, man, look at this guy's doing it. And that's another thing that people want to see. Let me see you trade real money and make money. Well, how would it help you? Are you going to trade the way I trade? Do you just have the same routine schedule, sizing, brokers, frequency of trading? Do you trade on your tablet? Do you trade on your desktop? Do you only trade 1 day a week? Do you only trade the news? Do you trade 3 hours a day? I mean, this is just like a bottomless pit of factors. There's no fucking way. It wouldn't matter. Now, like I said, even the guy that says, well, I'm just going to do like 2 trades a week, and there's this guy I follow and he does 2 trades a week. Okay, great. But what's keeping you from getting out of that when you're way up and going, dude, I'm up like 40 grand. I know the target's 70 grand, but I'm up 40. I'm just getting the fuck out. I can't take it. And it's terrible. If you have a stop at 5 grand and you're up 40 grand, and you've been stopped out 3 times, you're down 15 grand, now you're up 40. Oh, shit. Whatever the number is. And I can hardly not get out of that trade. It's so hard. I mean, and then I could say, well, I can move a trailing stop, so worst case scenario, I make 20 grand. But how are people... The risk is easy. The loss is easy. I mean, if I put it in a 5 grand stop and I go, it would reinforce what everybody says about trading. See? Trading forex sucks. I just lost 5 grand in that trade. Fuck these goddamn books I read. Fuck this guy I'm following. But you could do twice the work and lose 2,500 and still be in the trade. And that's the trick. What is your number for effort? What is the number for effort? Well, I'm not going to put on a trade and risk $1.50. Fuck that. I'm going to get in $1 million position and let risk 1,500. So how does that, I mean, it's staggering the levels of risk in dollar cents, not pip cents, that you could employ on that. And so, yeah, the stock may move because, and the forex may move because Brexit, whatever. Intrinsic value, I don't know. See, these are cross rates too in forex, so it's a true over-the-counter auction. I mean, it's really a beautiful market compared to stocks. Yeah, because stocks have gap opens, stocks have dividends. You could own the stock and just be like, dude, I don't care. Technical analysis, technical analysts use tools to help sift through the noise to find the highest probability trades. Now, that is true. I would say the data, they sift through the data and the noise. Now, interesting, because what he's saying here is that there is a tool that is going to sift through the noise. And I think he's referring to like a moving average. It's going to give me a global view of what's really, really going on. No, what's really going on is noise. Like there's no way to... In fact, if you strip the noise out of music, it would sound really clinical. I mean, I don't even think it... So I was watching this guy break down songs, and he took this one song, and he says, you know, if you just solo the tracks, like you can solo these, you can get these things and solo the... you can buy like the pre-mixed version of songs now, and you can hear, and you're like, well, I can't hear it when we listen to the whole song. But yeah, there's a little bit of atmosphere there. So the atmosphere is the noise. That's the market. And this is a blanket explanation. When you use the word tools, I mean, it could be Renko charts. I mean, a big tool would be your Gartley pattern, I suppose. In the highest probability trades. And at least here they're talking about, well, it's probability. One tool that was developed by a Japanese rice trader named Hama, from the town of, in the 17th century. So this has to be good, dude, if it's that. It's like an antique. And it was made popular by Charles Dow in the 1900s, the candlestick chart. And the Dow theory, Charles Dow. Now that's a big... Now you could look into that. And that would be a whole... You could buy 10 books. You could go broke. You could get like $350 of books and Charles Dow and everything that people said about him. And I mean, this is like... It goes on forever. And I would say to anybody that's reading a book, like I mean, my anxiety level reading books was like, dude, just show me how to make money. Shut the fuck up. Where is it? I mean, never. No trades in these trade books. Doji formation. So here's the word data. Had 4 sets of data to help define its shape. I do think that the only data is open to close for Doji. Here's the day trading starter kit. Oh, I'm sorry. Become a day trader. Compare online brokers. So I guess they're selling stuff here, and they're going through the classic list. Here's the Academy. I think I just saw a hot check. I was just triggered there. Do you see that? There she is, huh? She's semi-hot. The automatic millionaire. That's what I want to be, man. I'm sick of working for this shit. We're waiting for the news to come out. Automatic millionaire pages. Uh-oh, what am I into now? 3 top reasons you should, and I hate these should and could be, consider a financial service career. Oh, maybe I should. Okay. Do I need a degree in hot chicks? No, she's hotter than she looked on that thumbnail. I like that hair that looks like it's been run through an egg beater. Yeah, she's got that, what's her name? Drew Barrymore, innocent airhead look about her. I can only imagine what she's saying. I don't know if I have audio turned on. No. It's better. I think it's like slow-mo. It might be my recorder. She's talking with her hands a lot. But she looks Irish. Maybe I have the volume turned off. Yeah, I do. Shit. I want to see that again. Is this return? Rewind 10 seconds. Oh, I can't wait to hear what she says.
Pay yourself something, and then what do you do with that remainder, with the remaining money? And, you know, I mostly save mine.
She saves hers. Oh, I want to marry her. Because I could just trade right through her account. Wait. I could use her account to fund my scalping.
I think it was my second year of college. I was modeling part-time. I was going to school.
Oh my, I bet.
My dad gave me a book called The Automatic Millionaire. The 2 things that I took away from it were that freelancers or self-employed individuals should have retirement accounts, and one of the great things about that is that you can actually deduct the amount of taxes that you owe the government, so why not pay yourself instead of paying the government? And the other thing that I learned was this sort of concept of...
Oh my God, so she's a tax cheat just like Trump. That's hot. Oh man. Look at these suggested videos here. Playlist. Oh my God. Don't time the market. Okay. I just put pendings in there.
In 2009, when the market was at an all-time low, what were people doing? In many cases, they were getting out of the market and going to cash. Since 2009, the stock market has gone
I
up
don't know if I trust him. He's not wearing a tie of any kind.
over 390% with reinvested dividends. So here's what I can tell you. Timing the market doesn't work. You'll just get it in reverse. You'll buy...
Well, that's not true. So timing the market here. If I was to time the market here, I'd be like, it's down by, like I said, they're filling my limit bank right now. I'm buying this whole pullback into structure. But I think you can time the market. I don't think you get a choice. There's a time when you pull the trigger. So if down hard 15 on 5-minute chart, buy. Down hard buy. So I'd be in 2K long, and here I bought, and now I'm not buying. If it goes up hard, I will not buy. I would sell or cash out. So it's all these things people say. What do you mean by time the market? You have to time the market. You have to wait for time to go by. I don't know. Anyways, that's it. I'm going to go take a nap. The news is coming out. It should be ruckus. Here's the yen. Broke the trend line. Broke the volatility. It's going up. Yeah, I mean, yen's going down against these other currencies. Here she blows. It's bullish. It's going up. I just have a couple instruments here. This thing's just ranging. This is the euro, Australia. A lot of pips there. Okay, the jobs report's coming out. And here on the timing the half hour, you buy, and at the bottom of the hour you would buy. So let's wait for the spreads to get wide. Let's see what happens. We're long right now. We can buy more. I'm gonna pause, come back in the news. Got up early, I'm tired. So, plus my road trip was harder than I thought. I was in the car for 4 hours, so I didn't think it'd be that hard because it's got a chair in it. But oh my God, I'm just so old. And I think 1 hour is my limit for a ride. 4 hours, I was like, after 2 hours, I got out of the car and I was like, can I get a wheelchair? Like, I can walk. Like, but I mean, I'm not up for that. I'm not conditioned. If I was to do that on a daily basis, it'd be different. But I've never gone on vacation. So when I used to go on vacation, I'd come back and I'd say, I need a vacation for my vacation. So I'd always come back and not tell anybody I was in town for like 3 days so I could get reacclimated to the pressure of my business, high stress business I had. Just a probability business, really. I mean, building structures, physical structures is never a guarantee. Okay, 9 minutes till news. We are buying every 15 minutes. So we're long. We bought here. We're done buying at the market. Our market system is long 3K. Our doji system is up on our non-directional doji system is in profits right now. So we're in a hedge. If we're going to overlap these systems to your total net worth, your total equity of your whole world, you went short here on the 15 by default, or you went short because you had an idea that we were at the top. But you went there on the clock. You timed the market. You timed the bar. You fixed it with which time frame. Here you went short, added. Right. So here you went. You're in non-directionally here. So non-directional trade, and either cash out or you're buying here. So you bought here because it's down. That's stupid. Down, buy, down, buy, down, buy. You're long a 3K, and you may have had, in case it didn't go down. So why are you buying here? Because it may not come to here. But if you have a limit here, a limit here, a limit here, so you have 3K here on limits, no fill here, but you got filled at the market. And that's how you'd build a position or just trade. There's no doji. There is no trade. Unless this market sucks back to here at the bottom of the hour before news comes out, there would be no doji trade. And so you can get in pre-set up. So here's doji, 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 doji. Should be very obvious. Gravestone, dragonflies, right? You really want to have the more the gravestone, dragonfly, you know, that's the better, that's the lower risk. And it's a high probability that the market will not go into 5 gravestones on the weekly unless the world has come to an end and everybody stopped trading. That'd be funny. World comes to an end. Forex market's dead. Everything's a doji. It's supposed to be indecision. I was hoping they'd get to that in the article. What does a doji mean? Well, you'd have to say it just means that we have low volatility, I think. And here we come back to the crux of the matter is volatility. Lack and expansion of it. So there's either low volatility or high volatility. Are you going to get in before things get crazy, or are you going to get in after they're crazy? So do you have and you could have a stop plan for the doji. I'd say in a crude way, you could bracket a doji with stops, and that would take care of that. So if you just said, well, I'm only going to trade dojis from a stop entry basis, that's probably the logical choice. I trade the vacuums from a limit basis, from a limit approach order type. And at the market, which is probably the funnest in the world, is after 15 minutes, I have complete fearlessness and, a complete confidence in my market trading system. If market is up hard, and nobody's ever contested this, if the market's screaming up for 15 minutes and you sell at the end of 15 minutes, could you have made money? Yes, if your target was here. If your target was here and you have a stop here, you did not fucking make money. You don't need to backtest that. You need to realize that if it's up hard and you sell, up hard and you sell, and you have stops here, you could get stopped out. But here comes your trusty doji system. Your buy stop entry. You get stopped out and you actually go long. You go with the order flow. What's funny about the level 2 guys and level 3 guys and all that bullshit. Order flow. Okay, do you have a trade plan for order flow? Stop entry. Goobers can trade order flow. Yeah, I got buy stop stacking up here. As soon as the flow goes up, I'll get picked up in the flow. Get it? Order flow, your order flow. Not Bill Gates' order flow, not fucking Elon Musk's pending. That is just complete. How could anybody even believe that shit? Well, some guy asked me after it, because the order flow thing, I've gotten so much controversy. It's like the Tonewood thing. Look up Tonewoods on Les Pauls or something. And some guy says, so what's the deal? Well, the deal is, what order types are you running? What type of orders do you run? Are you market guy? Stop guy? Limit guy? How often do you want to be in? How long do you want to be in a trade? And how often do you want to get into a trade? How often do you want to initialize a trade? Right? And all that matters, you know. So, the news is coming in 3 minutes. I have to go back and get some more coffee. I don't know if the coffee's... I might die drinking coffee. They say it's good for you. I keep hearing on the news. I'm like, I hope so. Maybe not the amount of sugar I got in here. I can't wait to... You know, sugar's great for the brain, though. Helps you think. It's, you know, it's just drugs, really. I mean, it's like instead of having your body do a natural breakdown. But yeah, there's more than one way to skin a cat. maybe you love cats. You don't want to skin them. Look at this structure entry, though. Not bad. Of course, kind of bad if you... Like, see how wide the spread is? I can't really say you got filled here. If you put a buy limit on this top, I don't think they filled you. And you'd be like, oh, I missed my entry by 1 pip. That's why my estimation of how to trade, and that's a funny thing to say, how to trade. I'd say that's just a wide open topic there, but like how to get into a trade. How to trade kind of means like, well, what's your system? How do you trade? If I say, well, how can I place orders at different price levels to capture a good price? So let's say I'm long right now. And I bought at the market on my market system. I'm in 3K. I'm filled on these tickets also. I have a master stop, let's say down here. And that's actually way back. The fuck? That's London's price there. And on the half hour, so here comes the news. Here we go. So, am I going to cash out up here? Oh, yeah. As soon as I come up here, I cash out. And watch the spread. It's going to get really crazy. And I got buy limits here. So there you go. Now, these are cashing out. We have buy stops and sell stops running now because we have a doji. So we have buy stops here. We can have them tighter. And we just went short. And we're probably taking profits on some of our stuff because we've got take profits where we're going to go long here. Okay. I'm already long. Like I said, I bought this, I bought that, and I have a buy stop here. But like I said, you've got to have orders here to sell that they can get filled. You didn't get filled here. And you're constantly updating your, based on the current data coming in, your buy stops trailing here, or these are your take profits for these trades. How many trades are you in at on your doji? You could also have a market doji. So when you get a doji, I could have got in long and short the market here and using my stops as my stop out exit instead of entry. And I just exit and entry, same thing. So, or I'm waiting for confirmation, order flow, stop entry, flow through my stop entry. Either way. And I just have to wait another 15 minutes. So the news looked like it didn't really rock the market too hard. Now what people say, well, we want to see what the smart money's going to do. Now that's the dumbest fucking shit I've heard. Well, the smart money. Oh, and what, my money's dumb? Is there dumb money? There's smart cars, but is there smart money? Well, smart money put a buy limit right here for the stop hunt. No, the smart money put a buy stop here and just got in with the order flow. No, the smart money did what I did, bought at the market 3 times because I'm so smart. I just don't. Is the smart money the big move in the market that you chose the bias for that trade? Smart money says it's going up, so you got a trend line. And then you could say, oh, self-fulfilling prophecy, everybody's a trend line. Well, not really. It broke the trend line here. Didn't collapse. Well, you're not drawing it on close. You got to draw it on close like the simpleton guy's doing. Okay, so if I put it on close, well, I'm too, shit. I gotta zoom in on that. I'm as zoomed in as I can get. I gotta go a different time frame. So I could say, well, look at this trend line here. It held up, but where's your stop? If you're going to trade closing prices, you'd have to trade on the clock. So you would have bought here, but they didn't touch your trend line, so I couldn't pull the trigger because it just missed it. I think a combination of all this stuff. And look at the volatility just picked up. They slammed down. They finally filled my buy limit. Like I said, they didn't fill it, and they finally filled it. Right? And the spread never got that bad. Now the spread went to 2 pips. Granted, it went to 2.5 pips for a little bit there. Now it just tightened up. Now we're going up. Right? And people are cashing out. Why are they cashing out? Because we just went into this vacuum. And the sellers come in. And maybe it comes back to the structure. Right? Maybe. And you can buy here. Not too late. And this is what that guy was trying to rim dim. It's like, we wait to see this move, then we buy in pullbacks. Okay, well, you could wait, but you don't have to. You can't perceive this hole here. You look at the volatility on that 1 minute. That's the news. Look at it march up. That's the 1 minute chart. Look at it march up here. March, 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 march. Woof. And there's people that went short here. They're like, dude, I made money. Just before the news, and the news came out, and they dipped in here, and no more sellers came in. The auction's over. And here we're coming up into this stuff. And now they're coming after the bears. Right? And we have the 5 minute guys coming in now. "20 seconds with a 5 minute trader." So, do you really need all that stuff to make money? All that stuff? Look at this thing on the weekly, though. Jesus. For the love of Pete. And we could easily be here by tomorrow, right? Coming back to the high. The opening of the year. And this would be a hammer for the moment. Because if you have a 6-month chart, you've got a 6-month hammer right now. Right? This is the opening. Here is the shadow. Here's the close. You've got a bullish hammer, you could call it, I suppose. That's the idea. Hanging man. Or inverted hammer would be... But that doesn't matter, because the open to close is what matters. It may pull back out of this thing. Anyways, there you go. 5 minute traders. They sold. At the market to be cashing out. And maybe I've made all my money for the day. I bought here, I bought here, I bought here. I'm up on all of them, even this one. I'm up on all 3K. I could cash out all my limits. I could take all my marbles and go home now. I bought that, I bought that, I bought that, and I even bought I bought the vacuum, bought the structure. I just bought low. one thing that is true about these markets is the one really obvious thing here is this one up for 15 minutes, and then it never went up that big again. This is big up, kind of big up, up, and now maybe big up. In the next 7 minutes, maybe it takes this out, big up, I'll cash out, let's sell for the pullback. Big down, buy, big up, sell. But you can't approach that with some 2% risk of your account bullshit, because you're gonna fuck it up. You're gonna blow that shit up. You gotta think like about 0.001 risk of your account. And but then I gotta work harder. Okay, I got it. The harder you work, the less you risk. The more research and development you do before you open the doors to your business, because you think you're gonna sell these flavored dildos or something. It turns out that people are just not sucking as much dildo as you thought. That's a problem. And you've got all the tooling, and you spend all that money, and all your investors, you got to call them and go, dude, I look good on paper. But as the market's happening real time, or you see people choking on dildos, and you're like, dude, the liability insurance is too high on this shit. I mean, they taste good. And these kind of things, the market's just too sporadic, erratic. And when the guy's like, well, you can predict it. Okay. You can predict it, but would you really run a single ticket on that? So as soon as you say you can predict it, then the idea is, well, let's get in really big. Because our probability or certainty levels went up. You can't accept just making a couple bucks here and there, and that's at the end of the month. That's what really makes the extra 20%, is all those little shitty trades that you did that you worked hard on and made money on that, and those big giant dream trades failed. So anyways, it looks like the sellers came in there like clockwork on the 5. Like I said, you had to cash out into that vacuum. You had to cash out. When this went up here, you had to get out of something. And you could have buy limits sitting here. Now, this is the fun part. They slam down here. You're short here. It's 1 minute short, by the way. And then we have stock market hasn't even opened up yet. And you're like, oh my God, man. And they come down here and they fill you. You're like, Jesus, this is beautiful. Look at the volatility on that. Look at that 1 minute chart. Now that's fun. That is fun. And this was the vacuum window on the 1 minute, and you got filled on that because that's the bid. For the sellers, you can tell. Here, no fill, but there, oh yeah. In fact, if you went short here, you're up. When they filled into this, like I said, you would have cashed out of something here on this blast. Yeah, 1 minute chart is really quick to figure out what's going on here. And I'll be buying on this 5 minute. I just bought that 5 minutes down. That's my trade. But, hey, you got to trade big for that, right? You got to trade big on that trade. Big size. Make it worth your while. Don't pull the trigger for another 5 minutes. If it's down another, if you buy here big, too big, then you can't run your limit system. You can't have limits down here. You've already bought too big here. What if they're stopping you out right now because you're so cheap you ran a fucking 5 pip stop? All these things are considerations to take into consideration. And you got limits here. Look, they're about to fill my limit. Look at that. Right there. As soon as the ass gets to here. And I'm waiting for here to pull the trigger. And this could end up being a bearish day where it just keeps smashing down. Look at that. And look at the reaction. As you come into this vacuum, look at that stop hunt. Beautiful. It's wonderful. I remember that dim room guy would, at this point, he'd go, look at what's going down, you're losing money. That's why I stopped streaming. I was on there one time, and this guy goes, but it keeps going down. I go, yeah, but dude, I'm buying into that. Like, boom, boom, boom. Okay, now I'm long. And I'm also waiting 5 minutes to pull the trigger. Now the scalp. Look at the reaction here. Look at this. Look at that reaction. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes down. You could buy every it's down big. You could have bought every minute that drops. Buy, 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 buy. And then as soon as it goes up, stop buying. Don't chase it now. Look at the volatility on the 15, man. So untouchable from your doji system, unless your doji's on the 1 minute or the 5. But then you're looking to get your ass kicked. The spread's going to beat you to pieces. No trade here, no trade here. It's better to stay on the higher time frames. No trade here. A trade here, waiting for a signal here. We're waiting for the close of this candle to put on trade now. Buy stop, sell stop. So many pips away. I wouldn't put it on the wick. If I'm trading doji bodies, which I think that's the definition of doji, is open to close, forget the wick. I'm not going to put my buy stop on the top of that. I would if I was doing a volatility breakout system, which would just be without any bars. I just go here, and you're looking for low volatility. That's a completely different system. Like, the market hasn't moved out of this range. I have a sell stop here, a buy stop here. But the open to close is giving me the rhythm. So you have dojis in here, but you'd actually be getting in before it hit this. That's a late entry. That's a true goober entry. Buy stop, sell stop at the last known high and low. But getting into the core here. You're in. You're up. You no trade here. After 4 hours, no trade. Here comes the trade. Non-directional, 4-hour trading. Make a lot of money. Not a lot of trades. Look in the weekly. How many dojis do you see on the weekly here? It's just not that much. At the beginning of the week, you got this entry, this trade, this trade, this trade, this trade, and they're kind of choppy. Here's a huge trap. I mean, trap for the breakout, guys. Yeah, we could break out. We may come up into here. Backfill into this vacuum in the 4-hour. This is a lot of data. We're about to get, I think 9 o'clock, we're going to get a doji. We're going to candle update. Possible doji. Here's a killer doji entry. That made quite a bit of money, this one. This is also at the apex of the monthly doji. All right, so we have a doji back here last month. Oh shit, I gotta keep opening that up, really. Software's mind-boggling. I guess I can't rewrite that part. It's at the core. And we're banging up against trendline resistance, which is just kind of artificial. It's not a really, it's not a, it just happens to be, in my opinion, lack of volatility on an angle. You know, create an angle there. So here's your triangle. So we're in this behemoth monthly triangle. And I'm just going to do this and cheat. I'm just saying that overall, the volatility is getting less. Just in here, it's dying down. Then if you go to the weekly, you do have to scrunch out to see that triangle. But like I said, this is dreamland here. If you can't see the spread, then you know that you're in fantasy land. This is so many pips. This is 7 years ago down here. Makes a big difference, you know. I could run that on the 1 minute chart. You know, this is 1 minute chart stuff. Look at him punish this thing. Even got another fill down here. I wait for stocks to open, but I'm going to go. I'm going to go get some more coffee. Anyways, that's it. Trade at your own risk, as they say. If you like risking. And if you're scared of trading real money, or you want to test out an idea, trade a demo account. You want to test out a broker, test out the speed of execution, where their servers are located. Trade against, arbitrage against the other brokers. There's more than one way to skin a dog. It's just, you know, I said you can do anything you want. You can be any kind of trader you want. And you can be done trading for the day. You could have traded this 5-minute burst out of the news and be like, that's it. I'm done. Or you could stick around through the whole day. You got tomorrow. It just goes on and on, right? And maybe you do have pendings down here. You're like, damn, they never filled me. I know they're coming back here. But in the meantime, you could have trade plans for the 15-minute chart. You're going to have to take some punishment. I'd say the most conservative approach is the 1 hour chart. Most people, every hour, there's an opportunity, possibly, or you can see the 1 hour. Look at this. If anybody has a system that's making money during this nonsense, they're like, oh man, my system's buying on dips this whole time. I got a channel here I've been trading. Okay, that's great. Because it's going to come to an end at some point. The market's going to rocket up and down. And this is pretty quirky. As you change these different styles of charting, you just get whole different views of data. Data compression. Right, so data compression is really critical. And there's the 4 hour. And you could see this deep. Once you get below this thing, it's like, holy shit. And that price is like, yeah, this yen looks doomed. So there's a big polarity shift there. It does look doomed, doesn't it? I mean, look at some of these moves on here. These are just incredible moves. Come back here and just rip. I mean, that's just astounding. People are selling into that. And you can't blame them because it's like, dude, it's like ridiculous, right? But look at this. The daily smash down into here and then rip and then rip and rip. Just so many rips in here. Look at this triangle. My God, man. But yeah, we're all selling up here. Every bear is going to sell up into this void. Or people are going to sell because it's higher than it is here. It's got to come up here and fill my sell limit to come back here for me to cash out. Or it's got to come down here for me to buy so it can come up here so I can cash out. That's it. Trading in a nutshell. So. And I'm long here. Like I said, this is my buy window. I cashed out here. The bears got involved in this one. But long range for me, those things just keep marching up. The trick is to get in to buy the stop hunt. Even if you're a bear, you could have been bearish and made money on this. It doesn't matter. I just like to make money on the long side. You could have sold this. Right? You could have sold this and be like, oh my God, I got in here, holy shit. But you're counter trend trading, which makes money because you're range trading. Anyways, that's it.